Governor Burgum, fresh off the stage from the North Dakota Republican Convention. What are you feeling about today?
Well, I made a joke at the beginning, but it's great to be in Bison country and fun to see all these great.
Must have been a lot of UND fans because I didn't hear much of a roar.
Yeah, that went a little flat on the Bison joke right away, but here we are at the shack, and fun to see almost every seat filled with Republicans from across the state that care about the future of this country and care about the future of our state.
What role do you see this convention and this weekend playing going forward in June and ultimately November?
Well, I think one of the things the party's going to have to sort out is the role of not the role of the convention, but the timing of the convention, because number of races, both in the past and more in the future, I'm sure, are going to be decided at the primary, whether that's a local legislative race or a statewide race. And I think that having a convention after the primary, bringing everybody together when you know who your candidates are, it gives the people the chance to focus on, how do we move the state, how do we move the country forward. That'd be a little more on policy and the policies that would drive us forward, a little less on intra-party rivalry, and I think that might be good for the state and good for the people, because you have less than 1% of the Republicans even in the state here this weekend, and Theodore Roosevelt fought so hard to get away from a system like this. He wanted the primary system. He wanted all the voters in the party, whether you've got time or, there's people that are working today. They can't take the Friday afternoon off to come here. They can't drive from Williston down here. So it's much more fair to all the people in our state, I think, if we, go to the primary system in terms of how we elect our candidates.
I heard a fair amount of disappointment that Tammy Miller was not here. A lot of people obviously focusing in on this race, on who is going to replace you, and people that generally are undecided are saying, why isn't she here? Did you encourage her one way or another?
Well, she made her own decision on that, and I think we know that this hasn't been in the past. I mean, Kevin Cramer made a decision to bypass the convention. I came in third, won by 20 points in the primary. So I'm sure there's folks that are here that would, that would say that, and then there's the 99% of North Dakotans probably don't even know this convention's going on this weekend.
I've asked Senator Cramer, Senator Hoeven, and Kelly Armstrong a little bit about the factions, for lack of a better word. How do you see the Republican Party from one ideological spectrum to the other?
Well, where I see it right now is I see that I think we've got a majority of people in this room are supporting Donald J. Trump, and I mean that's the most important thing. I mean, whatever disagreements we might have in North Dakota about policy is nothing compared to what it's like. I mean, I've been on the front row seat, tip of the spear, fighting back on the Biden administration, and that is the election. That's the one election that's going to make a bigger difference in every North Dakotan's life than any other, and that's we've got to get President Trump back in the White House. President Trump is right on the economy, he's right on energy, he's right on national security. Biden's wrong on all those three, and because he's wrong, it's crushing North Dakota's industries, job killing and industry killing regulations coming from the Biden administration across oil and gas, baseload energy, and agriculture. Those are our big three industries, and they're right in the bullseye of the Biden administration.
Bring us inside the Trump campaign. How are things right now? What's the strategy? You're obviously on the front line of that as well, and helping and being a surrogate everywhere that you're asked to be. Just bring us inside what's happening right now and your confidence going into this crunch time.
Well, I think President Trump surrounded himself by a very competent, very capable campaign team. They're working with machine-like efficiency, and then now with Laura Trump coming in as co-chair with RNC, Michael Whatley, that group is going to be fully aligned. I mean, this is not the way it's been in the past. So I feel like Republicans need to have this kind of coordination, because the Democrats, they get all these disparate groups that may disagree in their party, but they all come together and get behind Joe Biden, even if they don't agree with him 100%. And we've got to do the same thing, and we've got to unify the Republican Party. If we do that, we can be successful in the fall.
Do you think this will be a different Donald Trump on the ballot? Do you think that, there is a faction that does not like the style of Donald Trump? They're complaining about tweets and, this comment and that comment rather than what did he get done. How do we bring that other side in, and is the president willing to make the case to them too?
Well, we got to have voters that look beyond a tweet or a comment, because who's pumping all that out? Well, the mainstream media that's supporting Joe Biden. They want everybody to focus on this or that, the last thing that might have been said, as opposed to the policy, as opposed to the people that are the 4,000 appointments that President Trump will make. Those 4,000 appointments will be people that have a completely different philosophy than Joe Biden about how we run this country. And of course, Biden, the only thing they can talk about is President Trump and his latest tweet. Because they don't want to talk about Joe Biden's policies, because Joe Biden's policies are empowering our foreign adversaries. They're hurting American energy. They're killing U.S. jobs. They don't want to talk about that. The inflation, the economic challenges, the open border. They want to talk about that? No, they want to point a finger at President Trump, and they've upped the ante on that with the lawfare that they're pursuing against him, and that's their strategy, because they don't have a record to run on. I mean, any American, you ask the question, are you better off under President Biden or President Trump? The answer they're going to have is, unless you're an insider that received a bunch of federal funding under Joe Biden, you're going to say I was better off under President Trump. So that's what the elections needs to be about.
Final question. In the end, do you think most of that Republican Party, conservative opposition to Trump comes around? Ed Schaefer, your predecessor as governor, says today he's not going to vote for Donald Trump. Do you think he and the others ultimately come around?
Well, if they can't be voting for Joe Biden. I mean, I can't. I mean, if you care about North Dakota and care about this country, you care about world peace, if you care about the safety of our troops, that just shouldn't be an option. You can have your opinions about politicians, but at the end of the day, the way politics work in America, it's a binary choice. It's either are we going this way or going that way, and I think that when faced with that stark reality, I believe that Republicans and independents are going to say, hey, we like the path we were on with President Trump.
Great to see you.
Great to see you, Scott.